We continue reading in the Gospel of Mark, the 10th chapter. We're looking now at verses 46 to 52. Jesus is moving along the road to Jericho, and somebody starts to holler out his name. They came to Jericho. As he and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he cried out even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and said, "Call him here." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." So, throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Immediately he regained his sight and followed him on the way. So, throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. First, we want to talk about the cloak. The cloak was the universal overcoat they used back in Jesus' time. Of course, the word cloak can conjure up some other pictures in our mind. When I hear the word cloak, I often think of the cloaking devices they used in Star Trek and Star Wars to make entire spaceships disappear. Thanks to the invention of science fiction, you did not have to paint your spaceship a different color for every planet you visited. All you had to do is push one button and poof. With electronic smoke and mirrors, the whole spaceship disappears. But seriously, folks, we want to talk about the good old-fashioned kind of cloak. It is a central object today. So who owns the cloak? It belongs to a man named Timaeus. He's called Bartimaeus, which means he's the son of Timaeus, but he may be Timaeus Jr. Looking at the meaning of his name, Timaeus means to honor. At first, it may not seem like Timaeus has received much honor in his life. He is a blind man sitting by the side of the road. He sits there with his cloak over his knees, waiting for people to make donations so that he may go and buy bread. He sits there with the cloak over his knees because that's part of his offering system. Now, it does not say how long Timaeus was sitting there. We do not know how many years Timaeus had been blind. He may have had dust blindness. Back in those days, they did not know about germs like we do now. They did not know about the advantages of soap in preventing infection. There's a kind of blindness that develops from not washing the eyes. Dust and dirt build up to the point that a kind of dust germ gets in the eyes and slowly ruins the eyesight. Probably the most famous case of dust blindness happened to Anne Sullivan. Anne Sullivan was the teacher who helped the deaf and blind Helen Keller learn to read and write. Anne was legally blind when she began to teach Helen. But that did not stop either one of them from learning. Bottom line, there's a very good chance Timaeus suffered from dust blindness. We know Timaeus by name. Where was he from? We read that he sat by the Jericho road waiting for people to make donations. The road from Jericho to Jerusalem was a busy road. It worked its way through the hills of Judea, and there were not many other options. Thus, Timaeus had a good spot for collecting the donations. The Jericho road would be full of pilgrims 3 times a year. The Jewish people visited Jerusalem for 3 holy days, Passover, Pentecost, and the Harvest Festival. This means that Timaeus would have had a really good spot for the donations 3 times a year. So we come back to Timaeus' cloak. The cloak is really his offering plate. It is his habit to sit by the road every day and wait for donations. Sitting by the Jericho road was more than a good place for donations. It would also be a good place for information. Just imagine how many conversations Timaeus might have heard sitting by that busy road. Surely Timaeus had heard about Jesus of Nazareth. Surely Timaeus had heard about Jesus' ability to work miracles. Imagine how Timaeus must have felt when he overheard people saying, Jesus is here. Timaeus must have started hollering as loud as he could, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. We can hear the crowd saying, tone it down, Timaeus. Take it easy with the Son of David talk. We don't want the authorities to think Jesus is some kind of king. But Timaeus' name means honor. Timaeus cannot help honoring Jesus. It says Timaeus yelled even louder. Then Jesus notices Timaeus and says, call him. We can see Timaeus getting up and running over to Jesus. We can see the cloak flying through the air. He doesn't need it anymore. He is going to get healed. He is going to get a real job. No more begging. He can get a new life. We find a couple powerful lessons in Timaeus jumping up to see Jesus. First, we ask, what cloak do we have that we need to throw off? What old cloaking devices do we have that we need to throw off so we can meet Jesus? What keeps us from seeing Jesus? Second, we see God's mercy coming from Jesus. Think about it. How much mercy did Timaeus receive from his neighbors in Jericho? Did they find a job for him? Or did they just tell him, sorry about the blindness? Maybe there's a good donation spot by the Jericho Road. Go sit there. Jesus' answer to Timaeus was not sit there. Jesus' answer was call him. If Jesus did nothing else in his life, we can be grateful to him for opening doors for people who were sent to the side of the road. When Jesus healed the deaf and the blind and the lame, he brought them back to the middle of the road. He brought them back to the mainstream. Now for a quick rest of the story. Do you remember the Star Wars picture I showed you way back at the beginning of this service? The guy dressed up as the Tusken Raider #1, that's Star Wars. And the man in that costume is a special actor. He went to Gallaudet University for college. His name is Troy Kotsur. He is an award-winning actor of stage and screen. He is the designer of the Tusken Sign Language for the Mandalorian saga in Star Wars. Troy is an expert in sign language because he was born deaf. He is married to Marlee Matlin, the star of Children of a Lesser God. Marlee is also an accomplished deaf actress. Both Troy and Marlee have been throwing off the cloak of deafness for their entire acting career. So here we are back at the door, so to speak, only this time it is a cloak. What cloak is getting in the way of our meeting Jesus? What obstacles do we need to throw off? What keeps us from saying, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me? Jesus, Son of David, rescue me. Amen.